So I actually was born with brittle bone disease. So it's actually a genetic disorder that causes the bones to break easily. I actually had countless fractures when I was young. From 7 years old to 12 years old, I actually stayed in the children's hospital. That's where I received my education as well. The teachers would come and teach us. I didn't have many peers to play with, so I was surrounded by many adults. I mean the nurses, aunties. So I felt I had to grow up very fast. It was a very lonely experience. I was away from my family. My mother only came and visit me like once a week because the hospital is quite far from my home, and my father and my siblings, they're all like very busy with their own stuff. So they only visit me my father visited me like once a month. I always felt like I'm in a single parent family, just my mother and me, because I didn't get to form that relationship with my family since like 7 to 12, yeah. I went to a normal secondary school for 4 years and JC 2 years. So my mother was the one who always bring me to and from school. So she only let a few of my friends go out with me. She wouldn't allow me to go out with other friends. So especially during JC. So my friends gradually also didn't ask me because they felt like, I don't know, maybe they felt I couldn't go anyway. So I felt very detached. So I felt very lonely as well. And I think I also started to realize I'm very different from other teenagers. You know, I was like, hey, how come I'm so short? I felt I had very low self-esteem. As a teenager, it was a lot of confusion. It's like, and also a lot of loneliness because I could not go out as freely. So I felt like a bird in a cage. And my mother would always say like, wow, if your legs were okay, you would have, run, you would have been gone, I don't know where you have flew to. And then I'll be like, of course lah, Yeah, so I was quite rebellious during my teenage years, as in like, I would threaten suicide. It's like emotional blackmail. Yeah, so my mother would come and sayang me lah, yeah. So I think the thought of suicide actually came when I was a teenager. My mother was naturally very protective of me, so I always thought that she's like my most loving prison officer, because she was afraid that I would slip and fall and would have a fracture, and I would go through rehabilitation, and the whole process takes half a year. First day when I fall down, she would scold me, why you fall down, Then after that, the next day she'll be very nice to me because I think she felt my pain lah. In the beginning of JC2, suddenly she became unwell, like her stomach, she doesn't feel well. Gradually, she couldn't even send me to school. So I was quite curious. I didn't know. I thought it's a benign tumor, because I think I was led to think like this. My family members told me something like this. For 1 whole week, when I was having my exam, she didn't allow me to go. So to go and visit her in the hospital. So I only went on Friday. So she was like holding my hand with like tears welling in the eyes, and I was like can't bear to let me go, and I was like, I don't know what happened, So the next day, I received the call saying that they are trying to resuscitate her. On the way in the taxi, I felt that she's gone, but I don't know why, It's like, so when I reached there, she was in a pool of blood. I don't know why there was blood. So with tears at the corner of her eyes, and I think I was very shocked, of course, and I kept calling her. I screamed, calling her until I had no voice, and I was like, so I think death to me was you call somebody and the person will never reply you again. So that was my conclusion of death. I got my identity, my worth, my everything from my mom. When she's alive, I'm alive. When she passed away, actually I wanted to kill myself at that time. I wanted to be reunited with her somewhere out there. I don't know where. When people talk to me about my mother, I would cry. So of course people don't want me to cry, right? So they don't talk about my mother anymore. So I think I suppress everything inside, and it's like, you know, when a person dies, that when a person passes away, right? It's like all you have are the memories, and if people don't even let you talk about your memories, then you are just burying everything without not properly done, you see. Yeah, so the grieving process was, I think it causes me to have unresolved grief as well. Suicide has always been in my mind, especially after my mom's death, because I thought that I could be with her, you know. So subsequently, I think whenever I face life challenges, I would think about suicide if things don't go well. Also because I always keep replaying the scene whereby my mother passed away. So every time I feel like I'm being bullied or whatever, then I'll replay that scene, and self-pity, you know, all the self-pity comes again. One day, it just happened. It just happened like I just went on the road and I wanted to be knocked down by a car, but there was no, it was a deserted road. So I went home and took half a bottle of lithium tablets. Then as I swallowed, I actually vomited out and I started to panic. I realized I don't want to die, you know, but yet I don't know what to do with my life. So my suicide is a cry for help, but I felt nobody could help me. So I asked my sister-in-law to bring me to the hospital. So I was in tubes, I was in ICU. That's when my family members came to see me, my father and my siblings, and for the first time, I saw tears in their eyes. So I think I've never seen them cry, you know, for me. So I realized that this life is not my own. It's like, if I had died, then what? You know, I would have caused so much grief to them. I mean, because they see me alive, they are already, you know, like crying. So if I were to die, I think it's worse. So I thought, okay, I cannot die, right? So how should I live? Of course, I wish my mother is around. I wish sometimes when I see my peers, you know, they all have their mothers around. I used to hide in the house when there's Mother's Day. But now I learn to appreciate other mothers. And I would also encourage the young people to love their parents because of my loss. Because of my loss, I'm able to help them to see their gain in that sense. I joined Human Library Singapore. So I go to schools, I go to workplaces. So I will share my story. Basically, I will share about life is precious regardless of circumstances. I really hope that people will treasure life, because we cannot treat life as so unworthy. So I would say to the person who is suicidal, like, hang on, you know, hang on, because today it may be, the sky may be raining all the time, but tomorrow it may be a sunny day. Surround yourself with the reasons to live. Suicide is never a solution. Suicide is violence to yourself and to others. Don't shortchange yourself because you never know, tomorrow there is hope.